Welcome to the Phil Taylor Jones Show. I'm your host, Phil Taylor Jones, and today's focus is the tragedy that struck Oregon State yesterday, in which 13 people were killed and numerous others injured by a terrorist. I know a lot of people aren't saying that, but that's exactly what that was. It was a terrorist act. And before we get into the mainstay of this show, I'd like to send out condolences to all of those families of the dead and of the injured. Senseless, horrible incident that should have never taken place. May you all find some sort of peace and solitude and strength within your friends and your loved ones. Our heart does go out to you from the Phil Taylor Jones Show. Speaking of that, this person goes in to a campus, asks questions about religion, starts firing away. Countless people dead, so many others injured. And the best that the President of the United States can do is get on the air and with an air of, say, disgust or anger, not because of the horrid act, but because of gun control. His $1 million baby, gun control. Wanting to disarm America. Using this tragedy, using the sorrow of families who are grieving because of the loss of their loved ones for his own political gain. Big surprise? No. That's a bastard for you. He'll do anything to further his sadistic cause. And just to think, this is a scenario that could keep repeating itself because of this influx of foreigners, refugees, if you will, that will most definitely include members of ISIS, Al-Qaeda. These Muslim extremists will come in and just as soon kill you is to say good morning. This is what we have to look forward to. It all segues into this sadistic craziness that is the mentality of President O'Bastard. Look at what he's done. Number one, this farce of an Iran deal where Americans benefit in no possible way. Then, this thing now with Putin. Putin owns O'Bastard now. He's got him right by the short and curlies. Everybody in the world, if they weren't absolutely sure that President O'Bastard was nothing, they now know it for certainty that he's nothing but a thin piece of toilet paper, if you will, that has now been flushed by Vladimir Putin. So I tell you what, President O'Bastard, I've got a question for you. What has the American people, or what have the American people ever done to you so much so that you want to kill us? Yeah, you heard me right if you're listening, and I sincerely hope you are. Why are you so hell-bent on killing us? What have we done to you? Your Iran deal? Potential killer. You're allowing all of these people to come into this country? Potential killer. And you sit there and you preach gun control. Either you are the stupidest person on the face of Mother Earth, or you have a sadistic plan that you want carried out. I think it's both. Stupid, because you know it's not all about gun control. President O'Bastard. It's not about gun control. Gun control we already have, and it's utilized by the honest people. Honest people go to the gun shops or to the sporting goods shops, and they fill out the necessary paperwork. They go through the necessary background checks. They go through whatever protocol they have to go through to acquire the gun. So we already have gun control. You can't control the guns the crooks get, because 9 cases out of 10, a crook will not go to a store where he has to follow the protocol to get the gun. And that's where you're stupid. They usually get it on the black market. That has no control. What you need to control is the internet. You need to gain control over that. That has now become a monster. When it was initially thought out, it was going to be this super information highway where you could, get things for the betterment of mankind. But as we know, there is a foul element in everything that is initially a good element. And that's what has happened. This internet is now a monster. A monster that is feeding and growing by leaps and bounds every minute of every day. And very little control. Yes, there are good agencies out there that are watchdog agencies that are trying to keep an eye on it, but then there are crooks out there that are 4 jumps ahead of these good people that are trying to keep control. It's out of control, and that's how these crooks are getting these guns. That's how these extremists are getting these guns. And Lord, heaven knows they've got plenty of money to get them with. So we need cyber control. We need media control. There's no concern about what's put on telly these days, or what's put on the movie screens, on the silver screen. And everybody out there doesn't have a strong mind. They have very weak minds, which sort of brings us back to the internet. This guy that went in there yesterday and did all this heinous garbage was an American, but he obviously had very strong ties to these Islamic extremists. He was on at least a couple of social media sites involved. So where's the control in that? There have been American citizens that have left this country, or that were in the process of leaving this country, to go to places like Yemen and wherever the ISIS people are, and join up by way of internet. That's where you need your control, President O'Bastard. As I said before on other shows, if the guy had gone in yesterday and threw everybody out of the window, would you then want to implement window control? You, pal, are a weak link, and everybody knows it. So here's my suggestion to you, President O'Bastard. Why don't you follow John Boehner's lead and resign? Because obviously nobody has the balls to impeach your dumbass. So why don't you just resign like Nixon did? Your game is weak. Everybody knows that you're a dried up bag of crap that shouldn't have even been elected in the first place. But now, within the last few weeks, stick a fork in him. He's done. Everybody knows you're nothing. So the best thing you could do for the country is give old Joe Biden the reins and let him finish out the term. See what he can do. Because you are nothing. You're a weak, pathetic excuse of a president. You're a weak, pathetic excuse of a human being. And you need to go. You need to say to your husband, Michael or Michelle or whatever you want to call it, let's pack our bags, get these two pitiful daughters of ours, and leave. Out the back door. Let Joe Biden take it, because you're nothing. You're weak. You're gone, or at least you should be. But knowing you, you won't do it. You don't even have the guts to do that. You want to stay in there and become a further disgusting farce to the world, let alone to this country. As far as I'm concerned, we don't have a president. There's some disgusting fungus living in the White House that should be eradicated. Put some kind of pesticide or chemical on it to get rid of it. We don't have a president. We just got a vice president. We have a disgrace, because anybody under the guise of being president that's always finding ways to try to kill the citizens of the country that he's president over is no president. You're a disgrace. Those families up there in Oregon right now that are grieving, it's on your head. You brought it upon them because of your support for the Islamic, Muslims, and the extremists as well. For your constantly doing idiotic things. You've made a mess of Syria. Idiotic things. You've made a mess of Iran. You've made a mess of this country. You've made a mess of the office of president. It is my hope that one day we would get somebody in there that would help this country back up to what it would be. I don't know that that's going to happen. Because even if there were somebody that would step up and say, okay, I'm here to clean house, it's an impossible situation, because if you get a new president and a new vice president, you still got to deal with the same old cesspool that is the United States government, the Senate, the House, the Congress, the Supreme Court. The only way that there might be a half of a chance to put this country right again is to totally clean house. Get rid of all of those political dirt bags and start fresh with everybody new. Then you might have a ghost of a chance of putting things right. But President O'Bastard, you need to go. And you need to go now. Not in 2017. You need to go now. Because you're nothing. How many more families have to go through pain? How many more families have to lose loved ones because of your idiocy? Think about it. What you're proposing, you and John Scary, having all of these people that you know nothing about, or maybe you do know something about them, but we as an American people know nothing about these people. We could have this kind of stuff cropping up all over the country. Because these people can't get along with anyone. They refuse to get along with anyone. It's either their way or you die. Over in the host countries that have taken these bastards in, they're suffering. Their girls are being raped. Their girls are being killed. And there's been a gag order to not say anything bad, just say good things about them. Why? That shows that the world has gone mad. Because any fool knows that nothing is all good. There's some bad stuff in there somewhere. And as I said, these Muslim extremists have no place among decent, law-abiding people. They can't get along. They can't even get along with each other. Yesterday I was watching a news bite, and these extremists that are over there in these host countries, and regular Muslims too, are urinating on some of the women that are in the holding places with them, their own women. They're urinating on them. beating them to death because they didn't make the bread right. And all kinds of weird, crazy things they do. So again, I say, what the heck do we need them here for? We have nothing to do with them. You know, do the American people go over there and start that hellacious problem over there in Syria? No. What stake do we have in this? None. So that's why we don't need them over here. There's going to be a lot of Oregons. There's going to be a lot of Virginia Techs. Sorrowful to say, there's going to be a lot of Columbines. If you let these Muslim extremist people over here with all of this crap in their mind that we're Satan, where we need to be exterminated, death to America, so says Allah. That's the way they feel. Yet you let them in the country. You and John Scary. As I said before, President O'Bastard. The deaths of those people in Oregon, the injuries to those people in Oregon is on your head. Their blood is on your hands because you allowed this while you sit up there with your stupid, idiotic self and continue to preach gun control, which is part of our Constitution, that we can bear arms to protect our families. You want to disarm us because you've got something in mind. Well, American people have got something in mind, pal. And that's not to disarm themselves, and even more so with the garbage that you imposed upon us by having this 100,000 or more come over here and not knowing what you're getting in the mix. So as I alluded to earlier, why don't you resign? Why don't you just pack your bags and go? Because you're nothing. You're worthless. You are a sorry excuse for a nation's leader. Why don't you go and try to take some lessons from Putin? Because he's got you, pal. He's got your number. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it but sit there and look stupid just like you always do. Because now the world knows that you're truly nothing. Thank you once again for joining the Phil Taylor Jones Show. We do appreciate your support, and we look forward to having you come along on this journey with us once again, and we'll see you next time right here. Stay safe and take care. Bye-bye.